your feels like magic. In the last few years, our world has been turned upside down by this. Artificial intelligence that can write poetry, create photorealistic art from a sentence, and even discover new medicines. It seems to have appeared from nowhere, a sudden, brilliant explosion of intelligence. But this isn't magic. It's the result of a revolutionary idea, an idea that was mocked, dismissed, and buried for decades. And it was kept alive by one man and a small band of believers who refused to give up. This is the story of the man who taught machines how to think. Part 2. The AI Winter. To understand the breakthrough, you have to understand the failure that came first. Back in the 1970s and 80s, the first wave of AI was all about rules. Programmers or experts would try to handwrite every single instruction a machine would need. Want a computer to recognize a cat? You'd have to write rules like, if it has pointy ears, then it might be a cat. If it has whiskers, then add 10 points to cat score. It was brittle, it was clumsy, and it almost never worked. The world got tired of the broken promises. Funding dried up, labs were shut down. It was called the AI Winter, a dark digital blizzard where the very idea of thinking machines became a joke. But in that blizzard, a tiny flicker of light remained. His name was Geoffrey Hinton, a British psychologist and computer scientist who had a radical, almost heretical idea. He believed that if we wanted to build a true intelligence, we shouldn't be writing rules, we should be copying the one thing in the universe that we know can think, the human brain. Part 3. The Forgotten Idea. Hinton wasn't the first to have this idea. It was called a neural network. The concept was simple. What if instead of programming rules, we created a system that could learn rules on its own, just like a child? A child isn't born knowing what a cat is. It learns by example. You point and say, cat. It sees another one, cat. It sees a small dog and gets it wrong. No, that's a dog. The child's brain adjusts. This adjustment, this learning from mistakes, was the entire problem. The early neural networks were simple, but to solve complex problems, they needed more layers. They needed to be deep. And for decades, no one knew how to teach a deep network. How do you tell a neuron buried 10 layers deep that it was the one that made the mistake? This was the puzzle Hinton obsessed over. And in 1986, he and his colleagues published a landmark paper. They called their solution backpropagation. It was the mathematical formula for learning. It was a way to send that you got it wrong signal all the way back through the network, from the final answer to the very first layer. Each connection would be told exactly how much it contributed to the mistake and how to fix itself. It was beautiful. It was elegant. And almost no one cared. Part 4. The Wilderness Years. The AI winter was still raging. Computers just weren't fast enough. They didn't have enough data to learn from. Backpropagation was a brilliant engine with no fuel. For nearly 20 years, Hinton, along with his few collaborators like Jan LeCun and Yoshua Bengio, were treated as outcasts. They were the neural knit conspiracy, clinging to a failed idea. But they kept working, they kept teaching, they kept believing. And then, two things changed. First, computers got fast. But not just any computers, gaming computers. Researchers discovered that a gaming computer's graphics processing unit, or GPU, designed to render 3D worlds, was perfect for running the math of a neural network. Second, the internet. Suddenly we had billions of examples to learn from, billions of photos of cats, all labeled by humans. The engine had its fuel. Part 5. The Big Bang. The stage was set for a showdown. It was 2012, the ImageNet competition, the ultimate test, and program had to identify objects in over 1 million photographs. For years, the old AI, the rule-based systems, had been inching forward. That year, Hinton and his 2 students unleashed their creation, AlexNet, a deep neural network, trained with backpropagation, powered by gaming GPUs, fed on big data. It didn't just win, it obliterated the competition. The best old AI had an error rate of 26%. Hinton's deep learning model, 15%. It was a shockwave. The AI winter didn't just end, it melted away in an instant. That single moment, that one competition, is the big bang of our modern world. When you hear ChatGPT, when you see a self-driving car, when you ask your phone a question, you are seeing the children of that idea. The idea that machines don't need to be programmed, they just need to be taught. Part 6. The Coda. The man who spent his life trying to make machines think has now become the world's most famous prophet of their danger. In 2023, Hinton quit his job at Google so he could speak freely about the risks of his own creation. He worries that the child he taught to learn is now learning faster than we ever imagined. He gave them the ability to learn, but he and all of us are left with a terrifying new question. What will they learn next?